Welcome back everyone to Paul's Railroad. On today's video, we are going to build off of our last little video series that we did when we designed that small N scale shed. We are going to start by using a lot of the same tools that we used to design that shed, and we are going to use those tools and we are going to design this. This is just a nice little N scale tunnel portal that I have designed. As I said, we are going to be using all the same tools that we used when doing the shed, and we are going to be adding a couple new tools to the mix to be able to design this. And I know that many of you, excuse me, are honed in on that brick texture, because I do know that I have been getting request after request and comment after comment asking how I create my brick texture. I think some of you must think that it's magic, but let me tell you, it is magic, actually. I mean, I just go poof and it's there. No, I'm kidding. It is not difficult to create a brick texture. There is some setup at the very beginning to get the texture started, but once we get the setup done, it's relatively easily to do. With that being said, let's look at our dimensions. Oops, zoom back in so you guys can see them, huh? Now, as far as these dimensions go, what I did was a Google search for the tunnel portal opening. And what I have found is that, of course, you know, the sizes vary. The opening sizes vary from era to era, even from railroad to railroad. But what I think that I have come across is what today's standards are. I may be incorrect, but I built it. It looks right. So this is what we're going to be going with. Anyhow, your height for your standard tunnel portal openings to the center of the arch from the railhead is 25 feet, and your width at the base is 23 feet. Now, as you can see, that converts to 4.8 centimeters in N scale for the height and 4.4 centimeters in N scale for the width. And I'm going to throw this in here again, only because I can't stress how important this tool is. If you folks have not picked one up yet, hop on that little link I've got in the description, go get one. I mean, heck, if you don't want to use my link, go to Amazon and get one. Just you need to get one of these. It makes life so much easier. And I will show you real quick how I do this. I showed it in the last video. I'm going to show it again because it's very important. We know from our research that our height is 25 feet. You can see the 25-foot mark right there. I take another metric ruler here and I throw it on top of this ruler. Now, granted, I'm behind a camera, so it's kind of hard to get this exact, but 25 feet is approximately 4.8 centimeters. And again, we do the same for the width. So, guys, get one of these rulers. Even if you don't get this ruler, get a model railroad ruler. It will make your life so much easier when designing. All right, as far as the dimensions go, these two dimensions here are our cold, hard, fast dimensions that we are not going to change. This is what this has to be for the opening to look correct. As far as the overall dimension, the width and the height, that is totally up to you. If you want to make it taller, if you want to make it wider, again, completely and totally up to you. If, however, you are new to this and you are following along with me, I will strongly suggest that use my dimensions. Just follow along with me verbatim. Let's build one of these together. And once you get used to the interface more, once you get used to building this, go back and build these to your heart's content. Because, we're doing these on the computer, so all it costs is your time. And if it's something you enjoy, that's not even a cost really. Um, you know, for this tunnel portal here, I had a heck of a time coming up with a design myself, just because there are so many cool looking tunnel portals out there in the world that you can find pictures of and, build your tunnel portal off of that. But again, I wanted to showcase several different techniques. So I came up with this. I really like it. All right, folks. With that all being said and done, let's head over to the computer and let's get started. Alright guys, here we are back in Fusion 360. If you are new to Fusion 360 and joining us for the first time, welcome. As you see in front of you, here is our interface with Fusion 360. And as always, we start by going to our little house here, project list. Click on that. We're going to create a new project. And I will be naming this one Tunnel Portal. Okay, double click on that. Alright, now this is the Tunnel Portal project screen. As soon as we save it, you'll see the untitled name up here will change to Tunnel Portal and all that good stuff. The first thing that we do always in Fusion 360 is we are going to turn off the design history. We're not going to capture. Do not capture design history. Again, this will help with your computer being able to keep up with what we're doing. If you capture design history, especially doing the brick that we're going to be doing on this design, it's going to slow down the computer to the point to where you're going to want to throw it out the window. Trust me on that. And as of right now, we are going to save this. So just File, Save. Again, I'm going to call it Tunnel Portal. Okay. There we go. Now you see it's turned to Tunnel Portal, and we got a little project screen over here to the left that shows our progress. Alright, as always, I like to design with the top and down viewpoint, so I come over here to our little cube. I'm going to click on top, and we are going to start like you would start on a piece of paper with a sketch, which is over here in the Create part of the ribbon here. Create a sketch. So click that. And we need to select a plane, and since I've already clicked on the top over here in our little box, the top plane is apparent right there. And here are the other planes. Alright, for our tunnel portal, we are going to again start with a rectangle, but we're going to do a center rectangle so we can actually do some mirroring on this tunnel portal as well. I don't know if we have to on this one or not. Well, maybe not, but we're still going to use a center rectangle. It just helps keep things nice and even. So I always use a center rectangle, circle, whatever I'm designing with whenever I have an opportunity. And for our tunnel portal, our dimensions for our width are 8.5 centimeters. Hit Tab by 7 centimeters. And you just hit Enter, and I'll complete that. Now we need to extrude this, so E for extrude, or you can always come up into here, there's extrude, and you can just drag it like I showed you before. We can come down here and type what you want. I want this to be 3 millimeters for now anyway, so 0.3 is 3 millimeters. Okay, there is our basic shape of our tunnel portal. Now we have to go back, excuse me, and we have to put some dimensions in here so that we can create our actual portal itself. So again, we're going to go back up to create a sketch, and this time we are going to click on the actual tunnel portal wall, not the plane. We want to design directly on the tunnel portal wall. Okay, the first dimension I'm going to put in is we're going to find, let me back up. The dimensions I'm putting in right now are what are going to help us create the actual opening. So we're going to use the line tool, and we're going to start down here on this corner, and we're going to come in 2.05 centimeters. That is one leg of our tunnel opening. Again with the line tool, and this time we're going to start on this corner and come this way, and 2.05 centimeters again. Now we could, something I've never showed you, this right now, these are actual physical lines that we could use to create a design and extrude from. If you wanted to do something a little bit different, you can come up here and create what's called a construction line. Let me show you what that is. Now we're going to, I have a construction line selected. We're going to use the line tool again. And this time we're going to find the center of this. So we'll start on the corner as we always have before. And when that little thing turns into a triangle, it's the center. Now we're going to draw up. And this is going to be 4.8 centimeters. Now you see the difference between the lines. This is a dotted line. This is a construction line. And this line will be ignored by the program whenever we are extruding or doing anything else with it. I could have done that with these lines as well, but I always go back and delete my lines. So it's not a big deal if you don't want to do that. I don't usually do it. Now we have to have two more dimensions. And excuse me for a minute, I have to flip my paper because I have several things written down here. Okay, this is a bit of an arbitrary number actually. We need to create the side walls for our tunnel opening. Again, we're going to grab the line tool. And this time you do actually want it to be a line, not a construction line, because we're going to use these. So we're going to grab the line tool, and that opening is 4.8 centimeters to the middle of the arc. So I think 3 centimeters, well, let's see what 3.5 looks like. Let's back it up and see what 4 looks like. I kind of like 4. Let's do 4 for now. Well, no, you know what? I can never make up my mind. Let's do 3.8. Let's be different. Okay, again, we're going to do the same thing for this. Start on this point here, go up, type in 3.8 centimeters, and we have our line. Okay. Now the next thing is a new tool that we are going to use. We need to create the arch for our tunnel opening. So we come up here to create, because it's not usually on the ribbon here, but you can always put it there if you want to. And we are going to use the arc tool. And we're going to use what's called a 3-point arc. There's different ways of doing it, and then if you highlight over them, it will tell you how it works. But we're using the 3-point arc. So we're going to start at the first point here and our second point here, and we're going to bring the arc up to where we want it to be, and right there is our arc. Hit escape to get rid of that tool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this construction line just because I don't want to look at it, and I am going to delete these lines as well. Okay. Now next thing we are going to do is extrude. We're going to extrude our opening. Now this again is just an arbitrary number, just grab it and pull it. And as always, we want a new body, do not join this. We are going to use this to actually cut a hole through everything when we are done putting our brickwork and everything else that we're going to do on here. So there's our new body. Alright, again we go back into our bodies, and it's always good housekeeping to name items before they get out of hand. So this is going to be just the tunnel portal. And I'm going to name the tunnel portal opening the tunnel portal opening, or opening for short. Now we're just going to hide that. We don't need that anymore, for at least not for right now. Alright, the next step I do believe that we're going to do is we're going to create the brickwork for this tunnel portal. And before we get started on doing it completely, I have in the past many times told you that when designing an N-scale building, structure, anything for N-scale that is going to be printed with an FDM printer most especially, there is some give and take to the actual scale. Now our opening, our actual overall dimensions of the tunnel portal are N-scale. However, FDM printers that you will normally buy right off the shelf with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle are not going to be able to print true N-scale brick. It's just too small, and it looks like a hot mess when it's all done. So let me give you some, let me show you what we got going on here. I'm going to create on here a couple of different brick textures, different scales. Okay, the first one we're going to do is actually an N-scale brick texture. Now, true N-scale brick texture is going to be, let's see here, 0.127 of a centimeter long and 0.036 of a centimeter, well actually of a millimeter, high. Let's zoom in a little bit. That is pretty daggone tiny. And you know how small these these tunnel portals are, so that's pretty tiny for N scale. Now let's go to HO scale. Let's see what that looks like. HO scale. They are 0.234 long and 0.066 high. Much better. That is very, now that is pushing the limits of the printability, let me put it that way. The next one is our O scale, and it is 0.432 long by 0.119 high, and that is very easily printed by any FDM printer. Now let's go to what I have come up with for my N-scale bricks. Excuse me. We'll come right over here. What I've got for the length is 0.19 centimeters long by 0.09 millimeters of a height. Now as you can see, that falls kind of in between, it's right in between HO and O scale, but still, I mean, it's shorter than HO scale, but it's higher than HO scale. That is about as small as I can print. Let me extrude all these so you can see them real quick. That is about as small as I can print for it to come out halfway decent. New bodies. Something just happened to me. Oh well, dagnabbit. Sometimes you click the wrong things, huh? Let's try this again. Alright. There we go. Now we can see some depth to them. I tell you right now, I mean, HO scale, N scale, I think mine looks more like a brick actually, at least for this scale. Okay, well enough messing around with this. Let's get on and let me show you how I actually make a brick texture, and it is actually quite simple. Let me get rid of these first. Well, and to delete something is very simple. Just click on the first body and you can just hit the delete key, or I'm just going to click on all of them, so I'll get rid of all of them. Hit the backspace or delete key, either one works fine. Alright, on to our actual brick texture for this tunnel portal. Again, we are going to start with the sketch, and we are going to sketch directly onto the tunnel portal itself. And we are going to use just a regular 2-point triangle. We're going to start down here in this corner, always make sure it all lines up, turns into a square down there. And again, my tunnel portals, or my bricks, sorry, 0.19 of a centimeter by 0.09 of a millimeter high. Zoom in so we can see it. I'm going to extrude this. I'm actually going to extrude this 0.06 of a millimeter. I'll show you why here in a minute. I want my finished bricks to be right around 0.05 as far as the mortar joints go. I'll show you why I did this here in just a minute. And again, you always want to make sure you select a new body. Okay, now here comes the magic and the ease of this. We are going to create a line of bricks off that one brick. And what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to create, down here to pattern, and pattern on a path. Alright, the object that we're going to want to create is this brick, and you want to make sure you see how I have just over the front there, just a pointer is just over the front. It's only highlighting the front. You don't want that. You want to make sure it grabs everything. See how it all lights up there? So we grab that object. I always like to make sure this is on path direction, and that'll come in handy when you're doing on curves. Okay, so we selected our brick for our object. Our path is going to be this long edge here. See it lights up black there. Click on that, and there's a little arrow saying, okay, we're ready to make a brick texture here. And the default is only going to show you 3 bricks, which is fine. We're going to bring it over here. We're going to zoom in nice and tight so we can line us up to the edge as best as we can. Just eyeball it. Just like that. Now what we need to do is we need to fill this in with a lot more bricks, right? So how do we do that? Just start adding quantities. Quantities and quantities and quantities. Okay, at some point in time here we need to zoom in a little bit. Move this around so we can see our little gap here for our mortar joints. And this is all hit and miss for the most part. Still a little too wide, I think. Let's back up to 42. Again, you know, when we're designing N scale, we have to exaggerate some things so that they can be seen. That looks pretty good. Let's hit OK and see what it looks like. And look at all those bodies. Wow, we made a lot of bricks there, didn't we? And there, my friends, is your first row of bricks. Now let me show you how to make the second row, and I'm going to tell you what, it's very, very difficult. Are you ready for this? First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn off the tunnel portal. We're going to select our move copy. We are going to come down here. We're going to select all of these. We are going to select create a copy. I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing here better. And we're going to raise the copy up. Kind of just guesstimate your mortar. And let's slide this row over so it's approximately halfway in between, so it's offset like a regular brick mortar would be. Select OK. Now wait a minute, it's not done just yet. So we got that gap here we got to fill in, but guess what? We got it hanging over on this side, right? So how we fix that? Hit E for extrude. Click on that end, start moving it just a little bit. Click on that and it lines it up with this. We're cutting it. It is OK. Come back here to the top view. Now here is again why I like to design on a center point when possible. We need to get that from here to here, and there's you know, you could copy it and drag it and do all kinds of stuff, but let's just do it easy. Let's create a mirror. We're going to create this object. Make sure again you select the entire object. Our mirror plane is going to be this plane. Select it, new body. Look at that. You got your pattern ready to go. Now, one more step we have to do, then we'll take a break on this video and pick up next time. We have to put a backing on these bricks, because if not, you will just have to copy and paste individual bricks, and that will be a nightmare. So what I do is, again, I come up here to create a sketch. I just select this brick. It's arbitrary. It does not matter which brick you select, as long as it's one on one of the ends. Do our 2-point rectangle. Start in that corner. Drag it across. Line it up the best you can. We'll fix it here in just a second. Hit enter. Let's zoom in and see where we're at. Okay. Now we hit enter, so our cursor is freed up. No more selections here. But you see this is not finished right, so it's pretty cool. We just grab the end and click on it. And it's not paying attention to me. Okay, grab that one, bring it down. And of course, let's make a liar out of me. And it's making a liar out of me. All right. So 8.45 centimeters. We know the width is 8.5, so I'm just going to type in 8.5. There, fix that. Normally you can grab it and pull it, but you know, with every computer program they're always finicky for some reasons. Okay, now of course we're going to extrude this. So we're going to select all these, and don't forget to select this brick here. We're going to extrude these as 0.01 of a millimeter. And a new body. Okay. Now we want to put this onto the back side of the brick, so we'll flip it around here. Let's zoom in. And we're going to do what's called a line. So we're going to grab our align tool. We're going to move this around so we get down in there and just, we want to grab just the back side of that. Not that. Sorry. There we go. Grab the back side of that. We want to align the back of that with the back of these bricks. That way it sits flush with these bricks. See how that works? Click on OK. Now what I like to do for my brickwork, excuse me, flipping around here a little bit, is I want to, number one, I want to bring this even with the bricks. So we're going to do the press pull, come down here and select that edge, just start to move it, select that and it brings it up. Click OK. Now let's do press pull again, select that edge, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. Let me zoom out just a little bit. I'm making another mortar joint for the next row of bricks above it. And the best way to do that, actually, instead of guessing, we can just come right over here. Well, let me zoom out here. I guess we can do it right there. Come up here and grab your inspect tool, your little tape measure. Measure from here to there, and it's 0.011 of a centimeter. So we'll close that. Remember that number, 0.0011 of a centimeter. And come back here, we're going to make this even again with this top so we can start from scratch. Press pull. Select just that back, 0.011, hit enter. Alright, last step. You need to combine all of these. So we're going to go to combine. We are going to select the back, come back here, zoom out, make sure it's nice and flat. Left click over here and then drag to your left, turns yellow. Now we'll select all of your brick. We want to join them. That makes just one body. Come up here and call this brick. Alright. Now that is how we make a brick texture. It's how we make brick texture for this tunnel portal, for buildings, for so many different structures and different ways of doing it. Very simple, like I said. Now you can leave it to where it's sitting proud of this wall. I'm actually going to bury this section into the wall here in a moment. But we're going to stop here for right now. And when we come back, before we go on with our brickwork and make a ton of these bricks, we're actually going to make the, well, what do you call it, the framework for the tunnel portal opening. So we'll be back with that, so hang tight.